evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Brick Township Council to order. Madam Clerk.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on February 8, 2019. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspapers and posted on public bulletin boards and the Township website.
Thank you. At this time, would everyone please silence or turn off their cell phone, and Madam Clerk, you can send around the body to council people who would like to surrender their phones. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontorero. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Momma.
Here.
Councilman Halloran. Vice President Crate.
Here.
President Zepsik.
Here.
Thank you.
I would just like to announce before we go on that we had expected to see Councilwoman Pontorero back with us this evening, but she had an unscheduled stay in the hospital and is now recovering at home. But she wanted to thank everyone for their well wishes and plans to be back with us at the next council meeting. Would everyone kindly rise for a salute to the flag and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. One final note before we move on. I did hear from a couple residents this week that asked if I would, and I'm guilty of it myself, asked if I would kindly remind everyone to make sure their microphones are on and to lean forward and speak. Yes. Okay. And to lean forward and speak so that they can hear everybody at home. Thank you. May I have Madam Clerk, would you accept and file the reports of the municipal officers, please?
Yes, I will.
I have a motion and second to approve the minutes of the July 23rd meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Momma, seconded by Council Vice President Crate. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Is that, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Momma.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zepsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are now on to the consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Resolution 4-1.
Authorized receipt of bids, resurfacing and drainage improvements to Roosevelt, Harding, and Truman Drives.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids, and that's for the resurfacing as well as the drainage improvements to Roosevelt, Harding, and Truman Drives. The work was delayed pending the completion of utility work, which was being done by New Jersey Natural Gas. As everybody knows, we go out before we do a road paving project. We asked all the utilities if they plan on doing anything for the next 5 years. This way it's safe, and you know that it's not going to be open for 5 years, and people can enjoy a smooth road for 5 years. As we all know, the county didn't do that with Maniloking Road, and we have a lot of bumps there now, but they say they're coming back. Anyway, now that the work is complete, the township can proceed with the road resurfacing project, and that was funded as part of the 2017 capital budget. When we originally planned to do it, we had to wait for New Jersey Natural Gas.
Thank you. Resolution 4-2.
Authorize award of bid Lake Riviera Rainbow Dam Culvert Replacement and Embankment Restoration.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the award of bid to Capella Construction Incorporated of Sicklerville, New Jersey, in the amount of $177,820 for the repairs to the Upper Lake Riviera and Rainbow Lake Dam culvert. Lake Riviera has been lowered, as everybody probably knows, in order to make necessary repairs. This came after a required dam inspection was complete. During that inspection, the engineering staff observed settlement on top of the pipe and confirmed that the bottom of the pipe was rotted out. New Jersey DEP Dam Safety Bureau conducted a site visit and mandated that the lake be lowered in order to make the repairs. We had to keep it lowered the entire time. As a Class 2 dam, there is a high risk for damage to property should the dam fail, and as a result, they made us lower it immediately. We couldn't just lower it when we were doing the actual work because property could have been damaged. So the township is going to be proceeding with the necessary repairs once this resolution is approved, and we'll hold a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, and it's already scheduled for Thursday because we want to move on this as quickly as possible. Bid notices were sent out to 11 prospective bidders from our bidders list, and 7 came in, or 7 requested the bid packages. And then out of those, 4 companies submitted bids, and they ranged from the low bid of $177,820 to the high bid of $648,151. And the other 2 bids submitted were $246,690 and $426,910. And Capella Construction was the lowest. The scope of the work to be completed on this contract includes replacing the eroded section of the culvert with a 6x4 box culvert, replacing surface treatment filling in scoured areas, and implementing riprap sheeting for outlet protection at the Lake Riviera Park area. And the water will be back, and we can all enjoy our lake again. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 4-3.
Authorize award of bid 150-foot monopole installation and site work.
Thank you. Vice President Crate.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for the 150-foot monopole installation at Gunpoint Sports Complex and the site work to Capella Construction, Sicklerville, in the amount of $92,050. On April 30th, the council approved award of bid for the purchase and delivery of the 150-foot monopole to Sabre Industries, Sioux City, Iowa, for a total bid amount of $41,070. That contract included design, manufacture, and delivery of all parts and mounts related to the 150-foot communications tower delivered to the Gunpoint Sports Complex, as well as a concrete foundation designed for said tower. This bid is to build the foundation. Capella Construction will also be responsible to offload the tower when it arrives, and they can also set it in place while the crane is at the park's location. Bid notices were sent to 9 bidders. 2 bids were received, with process ranging from the low bid of $92,050 to $171,160.
Thank you. Resolution 4-4.
Authorize extension of contract professional medical services.
Thank you. Councilwoman Deal.
Yes, thank you. This resolution authorizes the extension of a contract for professional medical services currently held by Meridian Occupational Health Institute for Forensic Psychology and Raymond D. Hambury, Ph.D., for an additional 60 days. The current contracts are set to expire on August 11, 2019. The Human Resources Director has requested a temporary 60-day extension to allow time to properly review proposals received on July 31, 2019, and to make recommendation of award. All current providers have agreed to this extension.
Thank you. Resolution 4-5.
Authorize change order number 1, purchase and delivery of signed materials.
Thank you. Vice President Crate.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes a change order in the purchase and delivery of signed materials, contract currently in place with Creative Visual Systems Somerset. The vendor was awarded item number 29D, FDC 13-ounce banner, 48 by 40 yards. Gloss white vinyl at $100.95 per roll. The vendor has notified the purchasing agent that item number 29D is only available from the manufacturer in 54-inch widths and has requested a prorated price change from the awarded $100.95 per roll for the 48-inch roll to $113.57 per roll for the 54-inch roll for the duration of the contract. If approved, this resolution will prorate the price for item number 29D for the remainder of the contract, which ends December 8th, 2019.
Thank you. Resolution 4-6.
Opposing New Jersey becoming a sanctuary state and resolving that Brick Township never becomes a sanctuary city.
Thank you. Mayor.
Thank you. This resolution specifically does 3 things. First, it asks the governor to repeal the directive of the Attorney General and get this whole policy change from a governmental point of view, from the government. Second is it specifically supports my policy position that Brick will never become a sanctuary town. And third, it supports the Ocean County freeholders in the federal lawsuit that they're going to be filing to challenge the governor. So the governor is a directive from the Attorney General to limit the cooperation with ICE officials. And I want to thank the freeholders for saving the taxpayers of Brick the money to fund the lawsuit. So it's similar to what the freeholders did a number of years ago, right after Sandy. The Ocean County freeholders stepped in, and they did a great thing. They actually paid for it, signed the contracts, and paid for the original initial cleanup efforts after Sandy. And they entered into that, and it really helped us out in terms of taxpayers not having to foot that bill for the very first days after Sandy and the cleanup efforts that took place. So this is very similar to what they're doing here. They're doing this great thing. They're fighting at the next level up, the county for all of our towns in Ocean County. And it's a great job at conserving funds of our towns and not making each individual town file their own lawsuit. So I fully support the lawsuit, and I implore the council members to do so as well by way of this resolution. The fact that the Ocean County Jail, they can't have an ICE agent under their roof anymore in their building to be able to walk down the hall and interview someone who was arrested for something else, arrested for a crime. They're in jail at the Ocean County Jail. It's absolutely absurd. They can't have one of their ICE agents right there in our jail. So now what they have to do is the ICE agent's actually down in Cherry Hill, of all places, not even in Ocean County. And they're there on a computer, on a laptop, just as you and I could do, anybody could do. You can look into the Ocean County Jail inmate detention list, and you could see who is in jail. And now that's all they can do. They can't get a phone call from our jail right here, our corrections officers. Hey, we have somebody who just got picked up who's in this country illegally. They can't make that call to ICE. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's something that has to change. It makes us unsafe, and it makes us super vulnerable being right here in Ocean County where we can't have an ICE agent at our jail. The person's in the jail for a reason, so let's make sure they don't get let go to be able to do something else to end up back in jail again and have this circular thing going. So the freeholders are doing a great thing by doing that and by funding it and helping out our taxpayers here. And so the three things are just an important thing, so thank you very much. But how this particular resolution was proposed is disturbing to me as a mayor. It's hard to believe that a person's been on council for 7.5 years, doesn't know how to put something on the agenda the proper way. The fact that he blindsided his council members is bad enough. But what is truly wrong is how he tried to blindside the residents of Brick. Transparency is one of the hallmarks of my being mayor, and that's one of the things I stand for. The Facebook Lives, mayor nights out, emails, phone calls, returning every call myself, answering every question, good or bad, whatever it is. Transparency is having an agenda posted on Thursday or at the latest Fridays with the backup there so the public can review it. The public can look at it on Friday, they can look at it on Saturday, they can look at it on Sunday, they can look at it on Monday, they can look at it on Tuesday up until the council meeting. And then they can come here and be prepared to discuss whatever's on the agenda with all the backup there. So the lack of respect for our own residents by trying to throw something on the agenda at the last minute is really, really low. I applaud the remaining council members for having the respect of the public and having the actual resolution go through the process, having it put on an agenda so all can see it in advance, and then people can comment. They can call the mayor's office and say, I believe in that, I don't believe in that. They can send emails. They can do the same to the council people. You don't get that chance when a council member shows up on a council meeting night and says, put this on the agenda now. Everyone knows where I stand. Brick will never be a sanctuary town as long as I'm mayor. The policy's been in effect since I stated it back in 2017, before the Governor Murphy was ever in office. It's still in effect now, and it will remain as long as I'm mayor. Thank you for backing me up on this policy. Transparency is allowing the public notice to agree or disagree and show up, instead not shoving it down a public's throat with no notice. I'm consistent on this issue and have been since before Governor Murphy took office. I don't care if the governor's in my party, he's out of my party. What's good for Brick is the only question I ask. My position doesn't change, even if I were to switch parties like some people do. I don't go from extreme left to extreme right. I'm a fiscal conservative, middle of the road, I do what's right kind of guy. And letting Brick become a sanctuary town is not right, and the directive should be repealed. And hopefully, with enough towns and counties on board throughout the state, the directive will be repealed, and we can all be safer in our beds at night.
Glad you're backing me. Glad you're backing me, Mayor.
Resolution 4-7.
Authorized placement of tax liens for property cleanups.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the placement of tax liens at 130 Woodland Drive in the amount of $153.90, 125 Queen Anne Road in the amount of $76.95, 39 Laurelhurst Drive in the amount of $153.90, 204 Winchester Drive in the amount of $85.67, 15 Second Street in the amount of $334.95, and 1666 Route 88 West in the amount of $1,823.09. I have the reports from code enforcement. of the 6 properties. One is a commercial property that's vacant, the other 5 are residential, and they are all non-owner occupied. Few of them are vacant, and one, I believe, is going to be on the next agenda for demolition. Resolution 48.
Authorized special events permit poker run.
Councilman Momma, please.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes special events permit for Wykoff Realtors to conduct a poker run ride for the veterans event October 5th at the River Rock Restaurant between the hours of 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 49, Madam Clerk.
Yes, bond releases and reductions. 49A is a performance bond release for Premier Woodworking LLC on Industrial Parkway in the amount of $581.32. 49B is an inspection fund release for Weiss Leader doing business as All American Mazda on Burnt Tavern Road in the amount of $326.76.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 410, Tax Collector, Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. 10A is 100% DAV refund and cancel taxes at Block 383.28, Lot 48, in the amount of $8,728.41. 10B are tax overpayments for the year 2018. There are 2, Block 383.22, Lot 48, in the amount of $1,407.66, and Block 1065, Lot 8, in the amount of $1,208.11.
Thank you. And that ends the consent agenda. May I have a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Vice President Crate, seconded by Councilman Momolo. I would open to council for questions or comments.
I have comments.
Councilman Thosman.
Thank you. Well, after the council's decision to reject my resolution on this governor's directive on cooperating with ICE, I see that your side of the aisle has come to your senses. And I guess I feel some satisfaction that you have partially patronized my resolution to accomplish what I originally proposed 2 weeks ago. Probably because your polls show that our community overwhelmingly opposes your governor's progressive and socialist policies. But the fact is, your resolution hedges and waters down the meat and potatoes of the resolution. In your attempt to not incur the governor's wrath, you admit one rather large detail, and that detail is that you failed to reject the Attorney General's directive, that's right here, and that our local police not to cooperate with ICE agents. In fact, your resolution purposely omits that detail. So at this time, I move that this resolution be amended to include, whereas our police chief be directed to ignore the Attorney General's directive and continue to cooperate with ICE agents. And I'm making a motion, and I'll pass this around if you'd like to think about it for a little while, so you can see exactly what I read, and that could be amended to the 4-6.
And just so you know, that's already the policy. So the mayor sets policy. The policy's already gone down to the police department back in November of 2017. So the fact that you added, that's not a problem, because it already is the policy that the mayor sets.
Mayor, you never brought it up in 3 years, a resolution. You did nothing. You silently said it on your Facebook.
I don't.
Little app.
This has been out since
I don't
That's
do
all you did.
resolutions.
You didn't bring it up at this council
Councilman, your
meeting. I brought it up at
politics
this
are
council
ridiculous.
meeting.
Well, let me
I
explain to
am
you
speaking.
Let me explain to you
Mr.
the branches of
Momolo.
government. There's an
Councilman,
executive
you
branch
stop.
and a legislative branch, sir. I'm the executive branch. I do policy, in case you didn't know that. It's a Mayor Strong Faulkner Act. You can look it up if you don't know it, since I don't think you
But
do.
you never brought
Since
it
you
up
don't know how to
to
put
the
something
council,
on
and
the
I'm a
agenda after
councilman.
7.5
I can
years.
bring it up to the council. I'm a councilman. And you know why I couldn't bring it out of committee? Because this council put me on one committee that never meets. I never get to meet in a committee. That's what it is. The committee can still continue if someone is out, but the committee does not continue. The committee, nothing comes out of the committee because no one's having a meeting. There's other people. Council President, you're in that committee, and yet you refuse to even go to a meeting.
I'm not the chair of the
Doesn't
committee.
matter.
Hey.
Chair or no chair. you can still have a meeting. There could be 3 council people, there's 7 of us up here, we can still have a meeting, and there's no meeting at all.
I
So
would
it
like the
couldn't come out of
record to
committee.
reflect that that the chair of that committee has been in the hospital recovering from an extensive surgery having to do with cancer treatments.
Again,
It is
I'll
up
tell
to her
you,
to notify us if she wants the committee to meet in her absence, and she did not.
you could have
That's the end
notified
of
her,
the
council
discussion.
president. You could have notified her. I asked a lot of times to have a meeting. I emailed Joanne Bergen. You were CC'd on those emails, that I want to have a meeting, and nothing happened. That's why I have to bring it up this way, because everything's, there's no transparency here, otherwise I wouldn't have to do this.
There's no-
You couldn't have brought us a resolution 2 weeks before the council meeting, and now you're once again trying to shove a resolution and make us
It's called the
second a
directive
motion.
onto the,
It's again,
Again, you had this,
we
you
had
saw it
something,
Friday.
we had this since Friday,
You're
and
showboating,
you
you're showboating,
have
you're
given us
politicking.
nothing
Get a
to
life.
would you like
prepare
to add
for
it?
it.
I'm asking for a motion on this right here. Would you like to add it?
Point of order, we're being disruptive in the audience.
Ask the attorney whether this is appropriate for a consent agenda.
We don't have to listen to her.
You did not announce that items could be pulled from the consent agenda for full public discussion. And it's a public discussion that's going on that the public isn't involved in and won't be. So I'd like Mr. Keneally to please give a ruling whether this is
I'd like to pull-
appropriate to do, or should you pull it immediately?
I'd like to pull it from the agenda.
No, it's not your place. Only the president after the ruling by the attorney.
Let's just get this done.
Mr. Keneally.
That's an issue, you in the beginning indicated if you want.
Your mic.
Your microphone?
You indicated, if there's a motion to remove it from the consent agenda, it can be removed from the consent agenda.
She didn't announce that.
If there's a motion to remove it from the consent agenda and the motion passes, it can be removed from the consent agenda.
Okay,
That is stated right on the agenda, in bold.
So no one made a motion to remove this from the consent agenda and discuss separately, so it stayed on the consent agenda.
Correct.
can it be removed now?
I believe that no motion was made.
Council President, she's yelling in the audience. I can't hear the attorney with the woman being very
This
disruptive.
is council comment and not public comment.
I make a motion, since we're still in a township council meeting, to remove 6 and have it discussed on this.
There's nothing to discuss. Black and white. It's politicking, and I'm not seconding it.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
And I have a motion also for adding this to the resolution. And I'll give you a copy, Council President. I'll give the attorney a copy if you'd like to see it. Give the clerk a copy.
Mr. Keneally, can I have an opinion on whether or not the language that in the resolution as it's drafted actually reflects this? Is this necessary to add to the resolution?
I don't believe it's necessary. The resolution that was presented to the council is very similar to resolutions adopted by Middletown, Jackson, Bayhead, Ocean County, all of which ask the Attorney General to reconsider and review and repeal the Attorney General guidelines. But they don't direct our police department to not comply with law. So,
So, the police chief reports to the mayor, am I correct?
yes.
No, reports to the business administrator.
eventually to the mayor.
Okay. So if the mayor has given him a directive,
Basically, the policy is, we're not a sanctuary town, we're not going to be a sanctuary town. I've checked with the police chief a number of times, he's assured me nothing at all has changed since before the directive and after the directive. He's maintaining his police force the way he feels to make his people safe, our residents safe, and it's not a sanctuary town. That's,
Okay, so that would fit right in.
no,
The
because
resolution indicates.
the council's
Bridgeton's
trying
not
to
a
do something.
sanctuary.
The council doesn't have this authority. It's a Faulkner Act, sir. It's executive versus legislative branch. Again, you might have to research that stuff because you couldn't figure out how to put something on an agenda after 7.5 years of being a councilman.
Yeah,
So
if we had a committee meeting, maybe we could have brought it up to the committee, but it was no committee.
you can always email the council president. I'm sure she'll listen to you about putting something on the agenda.
No, sorry.
so I just want to make sure that I'm clear in what you're saying. We do not, under the Faulkner Act, have the power as a council
To
by
carry out any-
resolution to direct the police chief, which is an employee. Am I correct?
I would agree with that. That would be the mayor.
So you're
So we'd
saying,
essentially, if we added this, we'd essentially be putting something in a resolution that we don't have the authority to do.
I would agree with that.
Is there a
Only-
second to the motion?
only the mayor can decide.
What is the motion, please recap?
That woman.
There's a motion on the floor to add this to the resolution. Is there a second? Seeing none, we'll move on. Are there any other comments by council? Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions or comments on the resolutions only. Ms. Cole.
Ann Cole, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. I find the behavior of the mayor absolutely disgraceful. Yes, you're the executive, but you do not have a right to be putting the resolutions on without it going to the president and for the people to know. As far as the timeline and Councilman Fosman not doing it properly and that he should have known, Mr. Keneally can tell you, I have been coming to these meetings since 2001, and he has sat at many times. We used to have, when Kevin Starkey's father was the head of the firm and the person who sat at the meetings, Charlie Starkey, we would have available to us to see 1 week before the public meeting what the resolutions were going to be, what the complete agenda was planned as of that moment, and have the caucus meeting at which they may have been slightly changed in language, in anything, pulled from it, more resolutions added to it, and discussion was allowed to take place, which really wasn't Mayor Scarpelli's doing, but he did it, and he was pandering to the people when he did it. It is the council's obligation, and the resolutions are for the council, not for the mayor to do on his own. Yes, he can put input. I suggest everybody start reading what is there, and I'd like to get my hands on the copy of the code before it was massaged and manipulated. At the time, it was Ruth Ann Scatoro and a couple of council people who went over every single item in the code as it was then, and the code was completely rewritten. Now, the items about the clock that came afterwards and the 5 minutes, that was never so. The clock was brought to us by an attendee here tonight and previously, who got the idea by attending the Brick Municipal Utilities Authority and admitted in time past that she got it from, that they gave her the clock. This is absolutely outrageous, and this is one time that I couldn't, because I am sick to death over how this town is running, how even Ocean County isn't being properly run, and mostly the state. of New Jersey. It is a shame. It's a shambles. And President Zapsik, I have said many times, the consent agenda has that. It has never been read. It wasn't read tonight. You'll be able to go back and check that you did not read it and give pause for anyone, it doesn't say council, anyone, to say, I want this pulled for separate discussion. And I have said many times, some of the items on the consent agenda every single meeting do not belong as part of a consent agenda. I've suggested you hire a professional parliamentarian to come in and sit and make a decision about what should be. But we, the people, deserve more time, never mind the rest of the council. And the mayor can put something on right away. The councilman can't. Well, I suggest you go back and read what it really says. That a council person, even I, can ask for something to be put on the resolution. And then you would have to decide, are you going to tell me no, and other people who might want to hear it? No. It is not the domain. And the insults that the mayor hurled just in that one talk about this resolution, and I was fired up, and I usually do go on the internet and read what the agenda. I may not read every word, but I get an idea. I am so upset at what's happening here and how they're being run that I did not look at all. I was going to bring up about the mayor's letter to everybody and how much did he spend for that. How much does it cost for his brick pride, which when I was on the mayor's advisory council as a member, it was discussed. Alan Cohen was then the person who really handled everything that was considered Mayor Scarpelli's. And we decided, no, it was too big an expense and not enough people involved that don't have access. But the truth is, they think we have access in our communities, in our common interest communities. We don't have the access. We don't get the information. And one reason is nobody knows what the heck their job is, and nobody does what their job. I'm sure not one of you were ever given a book telling you what your responsibilities were, how to do the job, and that includes the people over there. You may know, the business administrator may know from outside, but you should have a book. And as far as the police department, I think this whole thing needs to be pulled from the agenda, and the mayor needs to get a hold of his big leader, as they now refer to, a governor or president of the party in power, and have a big township meeting where all of us can send emails, can call in, can see it, and it would have to be held somewhere other than this, because there is not a darn place, and I won't profane myself with a three-letter sacred word before darn place, even another word for darn, and say, we don't have any place in town big enough to, excuse me, we don't have any place in town.
Ms. Paul, please wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
I
I
have-
certainly will. This is a disgrace.
Mr. Sluka.
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. It's basically the same area with this item. First of all, somebody else's, well, if I got that right, the county or the freeholders are having a lawsuit. Who's paying for that? Us?
The county.
The taxpayer? So
Yeah.
the county
Freeholders.
taxpayer, which is still
Well,
us.
yeah.
So there's really, we're still paying. It's not saying the taxpayers aren't paying. They are paying. It's just through a different branch. Okay, I thought that was the case. I didn't really think they were going to take the money out of their own pockets. God forbid. Let me do two quick things. I applaud Councilman Fosman for bringing up this amendment last time. Maybe it wasn't the right way, but it got action. I applaud the mayor for having that as part of his normal way of being since he's been here. I applaud the council for maybe finally setting politics aside, although it doesn't seem like it tonight. I just wish nobody had a political party, because I've said before, same way. But in this opposing, I make this as strong as possible, and send it to the Attorney General and send it to the Governor. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Mr. Finelli. I can only see the top of your head back there.
Rick Finelli, Meadow Point Drive. At the last meeting, I had an ask, and my ask was that you at least consider what Mr. Fosman proposed and don't shoot it down just because he proposed it. And the reason I asked that was because I got the feeling you were going to do that. So I came here ready to give you guys all a thank you, because you did look at it and you did put it on the agenda, and you made some adjustments, whatever. So thank you for doing that, all right? You did it. That was my ask, and it's on there. I was going to say, see, you can really play nice in the sandbox, but I'm not going to say that tonight, all right? It just can't say that. Just so you know, Daniel Nee put a survey on his shore beat, and 282 people responded, and 83% of them said, yeah, vote for the referendum. And all this discussion and this bantering going on, number one, I'm concerned that you, Madam President, don't know who the police chief reports to, because I certainly knew that. And number two, I get the impression that because you don't want to deal with Mr. Fosman's second shot at this, you come up with things like the council can't tell the chief of police what to do. Well, you got a referendum up here, and you as a town council can vote on the referendum any way you want, right? And then it's up to the mayor to tell the police chief this is what the township wants, and he's the enforcer. You're not. You can do it. If you want to do that, you can do it, and it's up to the mayor, who I'm sure supports it, because why wouldn't he? If he says it's already in place, then it's a nit, right? It's already in place, so now we got it on paper, and everybody knows how we feel. I thanked the mayor last time because people need to hear that. Guys, you got to work together. I mean, this bantering going back and forth is totally unnecessary, really.
Well, the original resolution that I presented was on shore beat, and it got over 600 to 95 people wanted that resolution.
The people in the town want it. I mean, that's a given, and I'm sure.
But they read he had my resolution out there, and they wanted my resolution, is what it was.
I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get politicking. I'm sure the mayor wants it, and I'm sure you want to pass it, and there is one other piece to it. But guys, you got to work together. Now, I don't know about your meetings. I don't know what goes on. I do get feelings about what goes on. I do know that one of our council members has been out a lot in recent, I'm not faulting her. She had problems, and now she's out again with other problems. The fact of the matter is, that person's not here, right? So if somebody wants to have a meeting or something, some concessions got to be made that you can at least discuss this. And, you know, I don't know what it's true, but I hear a man up there saying, I try to have meetings together and nobody will have meetings, so I can't bring this stuff up. If that's true, you got to fix that. And I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying if it's true, you got to, Jim, if it's true, you got to fix it. And you got to run this thing better than you're doing it right now. Come on, please. The mayor's beat red just from his speech. By the way, I had a question for you. Are you any relation to Doug Ducey?
I am not. I am not related to Doug Ducey, but he's the governor of Arizona.
Yes.
And it's funny because he was running in the primary against a guy who was the mayor of Scottsdale, Arizona, and I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but he was the president of the National Conference of Mayors at the time, and it was in January, and the primary was in June, and so the guy from Scottsdale grabs me and he goes, "I got to take a picture with you." So he takes a picture of me, and he's like, you mind saying Ducey endorses, and I wish I remembered his name. So Ducey endorsed him, and he released that on Twitter and Facebook and all, for the Republican primary. It's good.
Okay, that's my comments.
And to your point, Mr. Finelli, I just want to point out that we had a public safety meeting in March. I think we had another one in May before Councilwoman Pontorero went out on medical leave. So we've only missed one. That was the July meeting that was canceled. So there's been
meetings-
plenty of time to have this introduced.
But before any of these people were council people, we had a meeting every month. Every committee met every month, once a month. These people weren't here.
Well, I'm not going to get into a you-know-what contest. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
if
I
there's
just
a
wanted to
if there's a
clarify for the
problem-
record.
If there's a problem, fix it, and deal with, I mean, everybody's saying it's politicking. Well, it's politicking on both sides. I mean, one person can't
There's no
do it.
transparency.
Thank you.
Anyone else from public? Mr. Bacon?
I did a little better. I got my hand up a little sooner. Good evening. Just want to say thank you for recognizing me, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the council and the mayor. I have a couple of questions. Actually, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk about 4.3, throw you off a little bit. About the 150-foot monopole, the communication tower.
Yes.
I remember when that came out, when you were going out for bids. That's for police, better police communication out on the island, is it correct?
Yes.
Is that like a cell tower, or is that something a little different?
This Drum Point. It's not the island.
But isn't it part of the telecommunications for the police to be able to communicate?
For the police, not for he said the island. I don't know if you heard that part.
Yeah, to help them better communicate.
Yeah, no.
Part of the same network.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not the proposed pole that is being proposed at the Barrier Island Police Firehouse, at the firehouse.
This is
Oh,
Drum Point
okay.
Sports Complex.
So it's-
Right, I remember
they're
you-
both right.
Got it.
Part of the
Is it a
same
cell
network.
tower or something different?
Two different monopoles proposed.
Okay. Can it be used as a cell tower too?
I would imagine so, that would have ability for other users at the top, but we, at this time, are using it for essential communications, police communications. There are no
Yeah, I didn't know
plans
if
for
that
any
would,
other
if that's another
use.
revenue opportunity where possibly, you know what I mean, it could be another cell tower, or used, have double use, I guess, as a 150-foot monopole over Drum Point.
We haven't engaged in those conversations.
Okay, I was just curious. All right, thank you. Now I am on to 4.6. I just have a couple quick questions. Mayor, I like a couple of your comments. You used the word repeal. I like that word repeal.
Yeah, repeal.
Uh,
Get rid of it.
But just doing a quick scan of this resolution, I didn't see that word repeal. And what concerns me a little bit that I'd like to see the council entertain possibly is we also have the AG directive out of November of 2018. And I think if we could add language to say repeal that directive, because I read some of this, some of the points seem solid to me, but I didn't see the word repeal, and I would recommend to this council before they consider this for a vote, possibly adding the words repeal to the AG directive. I think it's Directive 2018-6. It came out at the end of November in 2018. So that's just something I would like to bring to your attention, possibly for consideration. The other thing, Mayor, a couple things I didn't know, and you talked about policy. And in a previous life, I did a lot of that. And the policy you said you set back in November of 17. My question there is that policy written, or was that something verbally communicated to the police chief?
It's verbally communicated to the police chief, and then I go back and make sure he's agreed to it. I say, we're not a sanctuary town, right? Yeah, we're definitely not a sanctuary town. Nothing has changed since before this directive came down. We're still policing the same way, still doing everything the same.
Right.
Yep.
The only thing, being a guy that used to do a lot of policy and procedure, policy to me of that magnitude, or any policy for that matter, out of the executive to the police force or other departments, I feel strongly should be some type of written policy that was communicated back in 17. I don't know if that was done. I'm not getting the sense it was. I would recommend also, if we're going to put policies in place of that magnitude, there should be some level of documentation so that the town and the various departments are aware of it. And I think that was basically it. Maybe consider adding some language about repealing the AG directive. And I did notice, and maybe that's protocol in these resolutions, that the name of the governor or the attorney general was not embedded in this resolution. So I don't know if that's standard fare when we're putting these kind of resolutions together. I was a little surprised that it didn't, identify. I understand on the legislative side you can't do that because you've got a lot of folks that are involved. Other than that, thank you very much for allowing me to come up and talk.
Thank you. Anyone else from public on the resolutions? Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Momma.
Abstain for 4A, Meridian Occupational Health, yes to the rest.
We're on the consent agenda. Is that, which one did you?
Yeah, that's 4.
Which one? Oh, 4-4, I thought you said A.
4A.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Bill resolutions.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $1,901,109.75.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Momma, second by Vice President Crate. Open to council for questions.
Yes, President Council, I have questions. Page 3, it's the electric at the Gunpoint Sports Complex. I see Aggressive Energy LLC. They're a separate company that we pay the electric to. Do we go out and bid electric for the sports complex?
I don't believe this is for a separate bill for electric. This may have been a company that we used, and I'll have to check, and I will be happy to confirm and get back to you tomorrow for assistance
But
needed
this
with
is-
the lighting at Gunpoint.
I'm just,
Sports
what it
Complex.
says here in front of me is the Gunpoint Sports Complex electric, $607, as a customer number, and it's Aggressive Electric, so.
And I don't have the backup, so
yeah.
as I mentioned, I
All
have
right.
to get back to you on that.
Do I have to email you, or?
No, I'd be happy to
All right.
respond, as I usually do right after the council meetings.
Page 10, it's the interlocal service agreement for $22,305. It's code enforcement and inspections. That's from, I believe, a shared service in another town.
Is this the joint, Brick Township Joint Board of Fire Commissioners?
Fire commissioners, okay.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
so
say,
this is the interlocal agreement that we have with the fire commissioners for our fire inspections.
yeah, doesn't say that here, though. Pate, Mr. Starkey's not here, so I don't know if you're going to know these. There's lawsuits on page 25. There's Township Attorney, it's Garden versus Brick, and Approved Realty. It says legal matters. I don't know. Kevin's not here.
This is the same one you asked about the last two meetings, so if you recall what Mr.
So we're-
Starkey said in
it's-
response, that was, he
It-
he explained those lawsuits in the last two.
So
meetings.
it's still ongoing.
Correct.
And nobody knows. I'll email Kevin on that because obviously no one's going to know when it's going to end. Page 48, standard alternative. The solar field for our electric paid almost $85,000 this time. I think it was 94 last month. Page 54, the EPA, it's United States EPA landfill Superfund site. Is that for special testing, that money? The $7,987?
No, this is I believe this is part of the redevelopment agreement, that it is a permit fee that we provide to them for the oversight that they continue to provide on that project.
So we pay them, it's a landfill
We are
fund site.
required
That's
to pay
what it
the
is.
EPA, yes, as part of the,
So we're required to pay the EPA for testing, right?
we do the testing, we provide them with the reports as required in accordance with the agreement.
And how often are we testing?
We are testing all throughout the year. The EPA comes out and does a site visit
How
once a year.
how often is that?
It's on a timeline that's decided by the EPA, that's weaned over time with the number of wells that we have to test. We are working towards reducing that, and the frequency of the test is determined by the results. So the fact that the results have been improving and showing that the remediation is successfully working in the way that we had predicted when we set the schedule for remediation, that frequency decreases. So, but if a test came back where numbers started to spike or change, that frequency would increase.
So if it does increase, that means that field must be leaching.
The field is
Could be
not
leaching.
leaching, that is absolutely inaccurate.
I'm saying if the test came back higher than normal,
It could mean more
Good.
than there was a leach. There could be lots of reasons why.
because there's
So-
3 wells in Colorado, or Herbertsville Park. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from council? Seeing none, close council. Open to public for comments on the bill resolution. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain, CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Momma.
Abstain, Meridian Occupational Health, yes to the rest.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 12, manual bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $3,613,041.52.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fosman, second by Councilman Momma. Open to council for questions or comments on the manual bill resolution. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions or comments on the manual bill resolution. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain, CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Momma.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are now at public comment. Madam Clerk.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you. Mr. Sluka.
Okay, good evening again. John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I'll read my letter. Dear Mayor Ducey, Council President Andrea Zapsik, and the rest of the councilmen and councilwomen, and all the representatives in Burke Township and Ocean County. A 14-foot noise pollution safety wall, as well as increased shrubs and trees on both sides of that wall, is needed in Evergreen Woods, Sutton Village, Primrose Garden, Town Hall, and the Greenbrier Complex, and Brick High School area. I bring this up week after week because the bureaucrats and lobbyists in New Jersey control the state government, and we as citizens must stand tall and push our local leaders, whether they are school board, town council, mayor, assembly representatives, and county representatives, to fight for the people and not give in to the controlling bureaucrats. For 6+ years, almost 7, many people have tried to push the state into doing the right thing for the health and well-being of our children, seniors, workers, and in fact everyone in Brick Township by building a wall, increased forestation, and doing what is right and just for the residents surrounding the Garden State Parkway. The one thing to note is at least the mayor of Brick, the administration, and some council people recognize that there is a severe health risk and have made somewhat of an effort to speak out and stand up to the bureaucrats of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. Because of a small amount of support, and in reality a true disbelief by many residents and workers in Brick, the health of our seniors and children has deteriorated. Asthma, COPD, premature deaths, and even autism are part of the results of the state's bureaucratic domination. The expanded Garden State Parkway has subjected our residents to the toxins that cause increased asthma to our children, increased incidences of autism in newly born babies, and premature deaths to our seniors, so it is time that we all stand together. Over the years, nothing of note has really been done because we have led the state to believe that there is only one voice or a small group that has a problem and they can ignore it because they don't feel there's a need for just one more vote or a little financial support. Without the large scale and necessary support, now the state bureaucracy has expanded their reign of terror to our school system. When are we going to stand together for the health of our children, for the educational support of our children, for the well-being of all our residents? At the school board meeting, many people are concerned about the governor's ill-advised slashing of financial support to Brick school systems. The school board is trying their best to fight with the governor and the cohorts to resolve the situation, but the state's overtaxing and overspending, there seems to be little hope of a positive resolution. Bureaucrats run our government, and those in elected positions bend to their will, and not that of the citizens who they're supposed to represent. Many at the school board meeting were concerned about Herbertsville schools, possibility of closing. But in reality, with the budget cuts, this well could happen. Another scenario would be to force all elementary schools to even out the class sizes at all elementary schools, including Herbertsville, at around 28 or more per class to some kind of a redistricting plan. Another would be to eliminate all-day kindergarten, the way it used to be, half days. But that doesn't resolve the problem since the state government says it's not an expense problem. We're not collecting enough taxes from the Brick residents. Yes, the government wants every citizen to pay more, and in reality, much, much, much more. In the 6th year of their plan, they would eliminate in total almost $24 million from the school budget. With 76,000 people and about 24,000 tax-paying residences, this will mean an additional charge to real estate tax from $800 to $2,000 per taxed property a year. We as a community must fight the state's onslaught. Elected officials need to take their heads out of the sand and help the residents and someday end the New Jersey Turnpike Commissioner's reign of terror. They must stand tall and speak out, and if they're not part of the paid-for bureaucracy, and they must fight against this official state government that favors the lobbyists, the bureaucrats, and the swamp that spends money for their cohorts but leaves nothing for our children. Whether it be a wall and forestation or school funding, we all must fight on. Thanks for your time. I yield back 30 seconds.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Ms. Jones.
Roxanne Jones. I live in the Laurelton section on West Princeton Avenue. Now, although I do not have any children in the school system, like all of us, I benefit from the school system because that's where tomorrow's full-time citizens, adults, productive in our society, and who become hopefully parents of themselves, that's where it all begins. And I too am concerned with the cuts that we have faced, the schools facing, and in fact have donated to two different organizations school supplies that somehow our government in this Trenton feels that we are capable of supplying, through tax money. But we're not. And I think that, as he said, we need to all stand firm and united with this. We need to tell Trenton that this is wrong. And plus, higher taxes means higher rents, because that's how our landlords pay the property taxes. And that is something that many of us cannot afford. Also, the situation in Greenbrier. Now, as somebody who has had her share of respiratory problems, I understand their concern with that. Also, I'm moved by Christian compassion to their problem, and I think, again, all of us need to stand firm to help them in some way. And also, I feel that the freeholders lawsuit, yes, it's taxpayers' money, but I feel it's taxpayers' money well spent. We cannot be a sanctuary city. We can't be a sanctuary town. I mean, we can't be a sanctuary state. It's just plain illegal because it goes against the federal government. And as I've said before, we cannot afford it. We can hardly afford providing for our own needs, as we all know. And finally, the situation with the committee that doesn't meet. Now, I am very sympathetic to this person's plight because my mother had breast cancer twice. I have had 2 cancer scares and also had to get a lumpectomy/biopsy for a lobular carcinoma in situ back in 2012. However, if this person needs to take an extended leave, let this person do so and adjust the committee's leadership so that it can meet regularly. Thank you.
Ms. Call.
Nan Call, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard, and in the hopes of keeping it under my 5-minute limit to cover everything, I will start with the last comment that Ms. Jones made. I have the greatest respect for Councilwoman Pontorero. I know what she's going through. I've had family members with all kinds of cancers and been around for them. I go to visit people, and it is true. However, Councilwoman Pontorero knew she had this condition before she ran for re-election and still chose to run for it. There is, in the infamous BRIC code, that I believe it's 3 absences and you're out. And I know that in the past there was a councilman whom I never knew, I can't think of his name, and he was extended a courtesy and not removed. However, you're now bringing it up as that's why there was no meetings of the committee that Mr. Fosman is assigned to. It's interesting to note. The mayor spoke about the resolutions. Then I believe it was, let me see. The mayor spoke about the first 2. Then it was Vice President Crate. Then I believe again Vice President Crate. Then it was the town clerk, Ms. Ayana Roan. Then the mayor and the president of the council spoke about, or it was the town clerk and the mayor. Then it was the president. When did you give Mr. Fosman something to speak about? That is totally inappropriate. I don't care what your political beliefs are, what you think about a person individually. If you want to sit on that council dais or sit at the administration table, you need to have respect for the people who don't agree with you. Quickly, I'll say, too, that we are self-governing. Our government's supposed to be by the people, for the people, not by the mayor, not by the council. It's by us. And that's not what happens here. I have been here since 2001, and I've watched the council go from a lone Republican to a lone Democrat to a totally Republican a town, not just council, to now, until Mr. Fosman, because he was treated disgracefully, changed, resigned from the Democratic Club. It seems that's what you have here in BRIC, is Democratic Club and Republican Club, and that's not what's supposed to be either. And they look for allegiance from their membership. And it was a totally Democratic, and you're still acting like it's totally Democrat, and that any of us who didn't vote your way or believe your way doesn't count. Well, the next time somebody spouts about being elected. I'd like you to tell me when you ran, how many people were registered to vote in the entire town of Brick? How many were affiliated with the Republican Party? How many were affiliated with the Democratic Party, which left the balance in Brick to be not affiliated with any party? I don't think there's a Green Party or any third party at all that has people registered for that. And see how many people didn't vote for anything because they're disgusted and they feel they have no choice. I worked the election. Since the primary of 2001, I have never missed an election right up into it. And the penultimate election of the first 2 decades of this century is coming this November 2nd. And I urge everybody who's hearing my voice, either through this media and broadcast, get yourself out to the election, even if you type in, and I'll help you do that in my district, I don't care who gets in.
Anyone else from public? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Major Brian McDonald, United States Army Reserve retired, residing at 175 Chambers Bridge Road, apartment 221. I've been there. I'm going into my 6th year. To make a long story short, I'm facing eviction because I put an umbrella up on my balcony. What happened is that about 2 months ago, we were giving instructions to stay away from the front of the building because they were going to do some work. What they did is remove 3 60-foot tall, 20-year-old aspen trees, cut them right down to the level, and what they did it without a permit, and I found out they did it without a permit. What they did is they went back a week later and paid whatever the permit price is, whatever, $35, I don't know what it is. And, when they did that, they deprived me and other residents of 175 Chambers Bridge Road of shade, privacy, and entertainment value from the wildlife, which is not kidding. We actually had a woman around the corner. She knew the squirrels by name. I mean, so this is, they have older people there. That's all they have, I guess, is to watch the robin's nest. But so what I did is I went to Walmart and I got an umbrella. I had a table with a hole in it and stuck it in there. And now, they say I've got too much on my balcony because everybody can see it and da-da-da-da. And what I've done basically is push the limits of what you can have on your balcony, I guess. I mean, it says in, this is part of the house rules, it says kept free of all obstacles, personal belongings, and debris. Everybody has personal belongings on their balcony. I have pictures here. It says nothing, the new lease says nothing can hang on the balcony, yet here's Christmas lights, And I'm in the front. See, that's the problem. I'm in the front. Everybody who comes in the front can see, there's this guy, the circus has come to town, oh well. And so I don't know what to say. I mean,
where you live, isn't that where we sold that property
that's
to
correct.
that
That's exactly
religious
right.
organization?
We sold it to National Church Residences,
Yeah.
and National Church Residences, these are National Church Residences rules.
And
They've
they
always
said,
had them.
and they said they weren't going to change anything there.
They didn't change it.
Just,
Well,
they were going to remodel it.
Yeah,
That's what I heard.
They changed theirs and go right. I mean, I'm looking at people I haven't seen in 5 years, and they're looking at me. And the balcony railing has bars in it, and you can see, you feel like you're in jail, And I went out and bought some artificial ivy and put it up there because, once again, being in front, I have to go and look at all these ambulances and Black Mariahs come up, and and I see my friends taken away, and I've seen enough of that in 16 years of Army Medical Corps service. I mean, I don't need to see any more death and destruction. I think I've seen enough of it for 3 years, three lifetimes. So you know, they made me take down the ivy because they say nothing hanging, but yeah, here's the Christmas lights. So, you know, so what I'm doing is, I'm bringing it up to you to let you know what's going on at 175 Chambers Ridge Road. And you know, basically the people who are out have made these complaints against me are people who are old ladies who don't like me, basically. And really, I'm serious. And the landlord is actually taking this seriously. So I've contacted the Tom's River legal people, and I've got a meeting with them on Thursday. But I just want you to let you know that, you know, I don't appreciate this kind of treatment as a disabled American veteran.
Sir,
Thank you.
Thank
sir,
you.
when you
Yes.
put the, do you leave the umbrella up all the time, or do you just put it up when you're outside with it?
I have it down right now. There's high winds and stuff. Yeah,
Right, right.
I always remove, and it's not going anywhere anyway because I got a big bucket of wet sand underneath it, which I put in. It's got one of those screws. It's a beach
Right.
umbrella.
I think-
And so,
I think what's more
We'll
important
we'll
here,
check on the, we're going to check on the
somebody
permits, and
illegally cut down those trees
down to code
without
enforcement.
getting permits first.
we'll get that investigated for you. And then I'll reach out to the management, see if I can help you mediate
I
something.
really
But
appreciate that.
we'll go through we want to make sure this, you know, the trees coming down is a
These
big,
lights,
it's a
by the
big
way,
deal.
belong to one of your friends, Mr. John Trupo. So, and he happens to be our tenant association president, so.
Got Christmas
so-
lights in July, in August?
What's
Christmas
it?
lights in August he has up?
Yeah, oh yeah, he keeps him up all year long.
Supposed to
He
be
guess
Christmas in
maybe he's
July.
too lazy to take him down. I don't know what to say.
All right.
Also- All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. I'll grab your number.
Mr. Finelli?
I have two topics. One is an ask for the mayor. Sometimes I steal your thunder, and I don't want to do it. During your comments at the end of the meeting, could you give the public what you know about the VA outpatient clinic thing? Is that? I know I didn't want to steal your thunder. Thank you.
We can talk about it now.
Okay, no, at the end of the meeting is fine. I don't want
I have
you
a lot,
to take
about 2
my-
pages.
Well, good, that's my time, thank you. The other thing is, a question about building inspections and all of that kind of thing. When the school district does any kind of building, like putting in parking lots or anything like that, they have to get the same approvals and permits and inspections and that as everybody else does?
Yes.
Okay, so they have to follow the same rule in the engineering department and everything else. The reason I'm bringing it up, well, number one, because I can't get answers over there. I don't know, were you at the last meeting? No, I missed you. I missed you. All right, they now implemented their new program, all right? You're allowed 5 minutes, and they cut you off, and oh, by the way, there's a big clock ticking in your face on the big wall there. Tick-tock, tick-tock, your time is up, right? They'll have 85 items on the agenda. They will not explain any one. You get 5 minutes, one time, to ask the questions, and 5 minutes at the end of the meeting, one time. Everybody come, but we'll give you 5 minutes. So I don't get answers there, so I'm asking them here, because you can give me the answers also. Thank you for the time. Here's my concern. Last year, the Bricks School District redid all the parking lots at the Veterans Memorial Elementary School, the administration building, and the middle school. And one of the problems they had was sinkholes. Remember, the big one right in front of the thing. So they spent $945,000 to get the parking lot done. On the last meeting, they had an item that they were approving $25,000 to fix the 5 sinkholes that they had in the new parking lot. My first question is, you mean it's not covered under it's a brand-new parking lot, and it's not covering it?
They don't have the
No.
bond?
Huh?
They don't have the bond still for the contractor? The bond, there's usually a bond that you hold on to.
Well, here's where it gets interesting, all right? Now, I don't know what the inspection people told them. I do know that they decided not to spend $150,000 to repair and maintain the drainage system underneath the parking lots. So it was obviously in need of some kind of repair, but they chose not to spend $150,000. They got a $168 million budget, but they didn't do that, all right? So they got 5 sinkholes and brand-new things. There must have been some conversation either with your people or the engineering company or the architect, because they knew that to do the maintenance on the drainage system was going to cost $150,000. I'm guessing that the contractor, Earl, which is a big company, said, well, if you don't do this, we ain't gonna guarantee the work, right? So they didn't do it. And oh, by the way, they bragged to me personally that, hey, we saved money. It's only costing us $25,000 to fix the 5 sinkholes, and we saved $125,000 by doing that. And my comment was, well, this is year 1. How many more sinkholes are you going to have to fix? In the meantime, you got a brand-new parking lot with 5 sinkholes in it. Great job. So my question is, does this fall under the bailiwick of the people that do the approval and the inspections? If they thought that this parking lot needed the drainage system upgraded, because that's why you're replacing it anyway, because of the sinkholes, and you don't do anything to fix the sinkholes, you have the same problem again. Would this fall under bailiwick here? Would they advise, or?
We could not require them to fix the drainage at the same time. We would have reviewed a permit application for a project that had been decided by the applicant, whether it's a private property owner or the Board of Education. We would have reviewed that permit. We would have approved or not approved that permit, and then we would have inspected the work that was outlined in the submitted and reviewed permit.
Okay, so you wouldn't be whispering in your ear. Do you remember my last meeting? I said, you know, you're not the mayor of 40% of the town, you're the mayor of 100% of the town, and we really need to get more involved. My personal feeling now, after seeing this, you really need to get more involved in, I don't know, you have engineering people, you have people that they don't have. I mean, they don't have what is her name, Alyssa Cummings?
Right, but they hire engineers just like we do. And
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
you pay
they have
them
the
to
same
do.
architect and the
Right.
same engineers
Yeah.
that you do.
Right.
However, this happened. Now, this happened. To me, this is ludicrous, and the fact that you told me you saved money. Really? I mean, I'm all for saving money, but not like that. Now, the other thing that came out, which kind of got me going again, is they're also doing the parking lots and whatnot at the Gunpoint school. Well, they had to pay to redo the whole front of the school because in the plans it had 15 feet for the road, and the fire people or whoever, the township people come in and say, no, got to be 30 feet. So I said, didn't your architect or engineers know that the requirement was 30 feet? You know what the response I got? Well, there is no rules about that. So I said, oh, so the fire guy just made it up? He just said, hey, I'd like it to be 30 feet instead of 15 feet. There are no rules?
In that case, a permit was not submitted. The work was done without a permit in that particular case.
Okay. My ask, and since I got an ask last time, I'm asking again, right? I know it's not your job to oversee the school district or anything, but as John was saying, there's a lot of concern going on. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of money going on. And I know you went to Trenton to fight the battle, but the comment at the last school board meeting, well, none of the public are helping us. And even John said, hey, Mr. Finelli gets up at the meetings and talks about that, you know, and what's got to get done. They need help. They need help whether they want it or not, all right? And it's going to affect everybody. They can't meet their budget. They can't raise the revenue enough to go through the thing. And the interesting thing is when you're talking about all the politics, and I'm going to talk about this at the next school board meeting, the people that are taking away money from the school district, the governor and the other people, right? It was in the paper today, I don't know if you read it, a big article in the Asbury Park Press, right? About the governor's secret, dark, political fund thing called New Horizons or something like that. And people contribute money to that, so this group of people can fight for all the things that the governor wants, like the community college free and all of those things. You know who the biggest contributor is to the people that are taking the money from the school district? Contributed $3.5 million in the last 2 years. Anybody want to take a guess? I guess you didn't read the article.
NJEA. I would say the NJEA, probably.
You're absolutely right. They are the ones that are contributing all this money to the people that are taking the money away from the education system. I mean, only in New Jersey.
You can't make this up.
Only in New Jersey can this be. So my ask is that somehow you get more involved with what's going on there, use your expertise. I mean, I know you people have expertise in roads and this and that and engineers. You have engineering people here that might whisper in their ear and say, not a good idea to do that. Spend the money. In the long run, you're going to save money. I don't know how often they do parking lots, but if you don't fix the problem for sinkholes, that the reason that you did the whole thing, spend $945,000, and then put a new one on top of it, and within the first year, you have 5 sinkholes, to me,
It's the same thing as bath fitter. If you know what bath fitter is, they come in, they put something over your bathroom, and they cover your, your bathtub and everything else.
Yeah.
And no, they're not plumbers, so they come in, they cover up everything, and then of course the ceiling falls down the stairs because they never fix the leaks that were behind the walls. They just covered over it, and the leaks are still happening. And it's the exact same thing.
This is what's going on in my town and your town, right? And I'm asking that maybe you can get involved in getting something like this, keeping it from happening in the future. Because I'll tell you right now, they're going to raise the maximum 2% every year, the cap. They have no more cap reserve. The 2% raise isn't going to cover the money that the state is taking. And they're suing the state to get the money, but in the meantime, they just passed a referendum to ask the state to give them back the $2.7 million that they took. And my take was, really? You're suing them? In the meantime, you're going to ask them? And I said, you're using my money to sue the state. And I don't like that. Talking to my sister today, who was a teacher, she took it one step further. She said, oh, you're only talking about half the problem. I said, what's that? He said, well, the state is going to fight the battle, and they're going to use your money to fight them. So it's kind of like, am I suing myself here? Thank you. I look forward to you hearing your comments about the VA clinic. The one thing that would piss me off is that if the veterans are not getting their just due. Thank you.
Anyone else from public? Seeing none, close public. Mrs. Bergen.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you. I guess I'll kick it off at the VA clinic. So had the opportunity to speak with Congressman Kim, who's reached out to the Veterans Administration, and they expect to make an announcement on the site by September 30th. So we are, 5-6 weeks away from hearing where the site is going to be. It's going to be that large building, that 93,000 square foot building with the 400 parking garage with 400 spots. There's got to be a New Jersey Transit stop that stops there, so public transportation, people can make it there. And they're going to be able to do, in that new VA clinic, they're going to be able to do other procedures. So right now, they can basically have exams. There's nothing invasive that can happen. And by invasive, I don't mean open heart surgeries. They're still going to have to go up to, veterans are still going to have to go up to the main hospital up north. But if you need a scope of your knee, or if you need a epidural injection, pain injections, things of that nature, they're going to be able to do at the new facility, which is hopefully it's going to be right here in Brick. We did, as everybody knows, we had 2 spots in Brick that put in for it, it's the perfect site would be at the Route 88 Jack Martin Burrsville intersection. There's that triangle piece of property. It's already zoned. It's zoned properly. It's in the hospital support zone. They put in their application. They followed up. In May, they had to do leases, terms of the leases. They needed a bunch of information from us. We provided all that information to them on a timely basis. They got everything in. So my hopes are it ends up right here in Brick. They're not making that announcement until September 30th. But it's a lot quicker than what originally was proposed. When I met with the Congressman Kim, he came here to tour it. I want to say that was probably 8 months ago, sometime in November, maybe November. And at that point, they were talking about 2021 as making a final decision. So they moved it up at his behest and his asking, and everybody's excited that to get this new clinic. Obviously, it's not something that's going to pop up overnight. We're talking about a tens of millions of dollar building. 3 floors and nice medical facility, but at least if we get that decision by September 30th, start the ball rolling with being able to break ground on it. So that's the update on the VA clinic. A little bit of an update on Evergreen Woods. So for years, there's lobbied the Turnpike Authority, Ocean County, State of New Jersey, to truly examine what residents of Evergreen Woods describe to us every single meeting, as we all hear, as a significant decrease in the quality of life as a direct result of the shoulder restoration and then the improvement, and then the lane. It was a shoulder, now it's a lane, and everything that we know of over there at the Garden State Parkway. So they're here, you know, we all know they're lobbying quite loudly for a sound wall or some other type of barrier to alleviate the dynamic created by the shoulder widening, as well as the trees coming down in the middle of the parkway. So together we've been in touch with the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, the Ocean County Engineer's Office, but there's no solution. So now what we're doing is we've retained the traffic expert, Brightview Engineering, and they're a firm that's currently on our qualified pool of traffic engineers, and they're going to conduct a noise study in the area of Evergreen Woods, which is the area that's most impacted by not only the shoulder widening, but also the change created when they installed the detention basin that really didn't have to be there. And the results of that study is going to tell us once and for all if the noise level has increased significantly and exceeds acceptable residential standards. As we all know, the agencies are not responding to the direct first-hand account of the residents who live along this stretch of the parkway, but they have no choice but to respond to actual data. So having this sound study done will be great. We hope to conduct this study within the next few weeks, and I will report back on those results once it's all taking place by Brightview Engineering. So that's the update on Evergreen Woods. And I just want to talk about the policy. So we talked about policy earlier. So our police, we do have a written policy. It's the policy to assist other law enforcement agencies and includes local, state, or federal, which includes ICE. So that policy has not been amended in any way, and it will not be amended in any way, and we'll continue to assist when necessary in those types of issues. On July 29th, I attended a lifeguard training. It was Code X, and what it was is basically it was a drill, and it was a lost swimmer, and the call went into the Coast Guard. Coast Guard cutter comes down. The lifeguards go out on the jet ski. The remaining lifeguards all come together to get everybody else out of the water, make sure everybody's out of the water, and they basically hold hands, and they take a step or two. They go down, they look for the body, they come back up, again moving, and they go in a grid search, which is great to see. And a few days later, they actually had to do it in reality. The child who was lost actually ended up being found on the beach, which was great. But the fact that they had this training a few days before just shows how great our lifeguards are. I get a lot of thank you cards about how great our lifeguards are. Literally handwritten thank you cards from people saying what a great job they do, but that was a great example. They found the child was on the beach, and one thing I didn't think of, and I was talking to Donovan Brown at Summerfest, and he says, it was a great job, that's great, you found the kid, kid was safe, everything's good. He goes, it was kind of hard mentally, because every time you went down, you thought you were going to find a kid. So, that's tough. You don't think about that lifeguard, you think, oh, suntan lotion and hang out in the sun, but there's a little bit more to it than that. So great job by all the men, women that are on our lifeguards. We have an awesome couple days coming up. Tuesday night, you could be right here at the council meeting. I know you're all here already. Wednesday, we have the Traders Cove concert, which is right there at Traders Cove, and it is Tim McClune and the Shirleys. And then Thursday, you go over to Windward Beach, and we have our final Summerfest of our 25th year, which is Boathouse Row, which is Yacht Rock. And then Friday, you go back to Windward Beach, you drive your car on the grass where you sat the night before, and you're able to watch Ralph Breaks the Internet, an awesome movie. And then you go home, sleep for a couple hours, you come back to Windward, and you got the Brick Farmers Market there from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it just shows how great a place Brick Township is to live. There's so much activities to do, and the fact that we have all this fun stuff, and it's all family entertainment, and that's what makes Brick so great. And thank you very much, and have a good night.
Thank you. Mr. Keneally?
I have nothing this evening, thanks.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
Madam Assistant Clerk? Thank you. Councilman Fosman?
Yes, thank you. County engineer, I did give him a call a while back about Greenbrier 1 because it's coming on to a one-year anniversary of Greenbrier 1. They were supposed to have it done, the company that's doing it, in 6 months, but I haven't heard back from him since. So I'm going to give him another call to see if that's back. And on June 13th, I'm not receiving committee meetings, and I'm not receiving emails. On June 13th, I sent an email to Joanne Bergen, Mayor Ducer, requesting a list of accidents occurred on either township property or private properties involving township employees who are operating township vehicles, along with the names. And now this is on June 13th, the names of the departments and where or assigned in 2009 through today, and I haven't received anything. On July 8th, I CC'd on an email by Joanne Bergen to Councilwoman Pontrenero regarding the Accident Review Committee on December 24th. I got that, but what I got, well, I got the email here, but what I got on the email was, it said the committee reviewed, there was 7 accidents, 5 were deemed non-preventable and 2 were preventable. That's all I got. After all the information, that's all I got out of that. And they already met again. On July 24th, I sent an email to Council President Zapsik and Township Attorney Kevin Starkey. I sent the draft of the sanctuary state resolution introduced by me at the last council meeting. I never received a reply. Until the agenda for tonight's meeting was made available, I was not made privy to the watered-down version crafted by the mayor and others. So they never got back to me either, even though I sent an email. I'm not getting any answers back. They're just, the transparency, there's none. On July 30th, I was CC'd on an email sent by Joanne Bergen to Councilwoman Pontrenero regarding the Accident Review Committee meeting on July 17th. That's the one I read. There was nothing else on that. On July 31st, I sent an email to Joanne and Council President Zapsik and Councilwoman Pontrenero, who serves on the Public Safety Committee along with me, requesting details of the accident with names redacted, so no one gets upset who was doing it. It's not the point. From the Accident Review Committee meeting covering accidents between December 24th, 2018 and March 1st, 2019. I'm still waiting for that reply. Tonight, I am also requesting a complete information as discussed in the Accident Review Committee on July 17th. You had a meeting, again, with names redacted. So here we are on August 13th, and I feel I give ample time for these questions, and I'm not getting any answers. I just wanted to touch on Mayor Ducey's townwide letter. So, Mayor, you touted on the letter all of which you claim and your accomplishments, when in reality, Mayor, when we sat up here on this dais as a councilman, you voted yes for the bad $34 million solar field. You created $34 million debt for this town, which our taxpayers are still shouldering. I want to remind you that I spearheaded the Neighborhood Watch program, Mayor. I also fought for the free senior citizens program back in 2014 when I was chair of the Business and Finance Committee. But you know what? Councilwoman DeYoung and former Councilwoman Leidecker served on that committee with me. And as everybody knows up here, you have to have the approval of the committees. And they served on a committee with me, and they refused and let the idea come out of committee. So the idea can't move ahead. I did a study on that senior busing too. And veterans for the expansion of family events, including Summerfest and our new Fall Fest. These ideas were not only yours, Mayor. In fact, you voted against the completion of Traders Cove when you were a councilman, yet now you publicly tout that it's the jewel of the Barnegat Bay. You can't have it both ways. And by the way, after the last council meeting, I walked down the aisle, and some guy walked up to me, and he said, "You owe me an apology." I didn't know who he was, and I asked, "For what?" He said, "You'll find out." So I walked away, and I asked someone, "Who is that guy?" And I asked who was that guy, and they told me he works at Public Works. Then I walked over to Joanne Bergen. I told her, "One of your public workers is trying to intimidate me here." And she said, "Well, that's the consequence of your actions." I was thinking about what she said. And so, where is the consequences for the action of the illegal dredging at Traders Cove? And where's the consequences for the actions of illegal dumping of sludge behind Town Hall and the Public Works? And where's the consequences for the actions of not having the permits for those illegal actions? And where's the consequence for the actions of lying about the amount of dredge material transported to the dump and to Town Hall and Public Works? I can go on, but you know what? The truth is, this administration never suffers any consequences for the wrong actions. The last two Summerfests, I went to the last two Summerfests, and the car show was great, and the National Night Out Against Crime. It was a great time there. Congratulations to all the police camp graduates on your awesome achievements. And I just want to bring up, too, that on New York Avenue, the flooding on New York Avenue, I brought this up several times, and the engineer in our town, Alyssa, said that the pipes are too small over there. That's why New York Avenue flooded. And there's a pipe in the woods. And everybody said it will cost a lot of money to do it, but what's the cost? My neighbor already has to raise his house up. He just put new footings in his house. These people need some relief over there, and this should be, just like Greenbrier 1, these people should have a little help over there. And I brought this up several times. I talked to Alyssa, and this has been going on, and nothing has been done. And thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes, thank you. I have a quick buy and brick update. We have Right at Home Care and Assistance on Route 88. They are offering a 19% rebate on medical alert help buttons for the first 3 months. So if you know someone that could use that for assistance, please send them right on over and you get your 19% rebate on your first 3 months. Tonight, there was a lot of talk, a lot of political grandstanding, a lot of talk about political parties, how many registered voters, how many Democrats, how many Republicans, or whatever party that you may be. Well, I can say for myself, and I believe for some of us up here, party doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican. It's what we do this for is for our residents, not just the people who vote, and not to try to get a job after we're done being up here on council. We look at every issue, we look at every policy of what will make Brick better, what will help every resident, not just voters, not just Democrats, not just Republicans, every single resident. We look at every policy and every issue. And what we are up here, I can say for some of us, is to make Brick better. Thank you.
Council President, can I comment?
No, you cannot. You've had your comments. Councilman Momolo. Councilman
Thank you,
Momolo, you
Council
have the
President.
floor.
I also
Bergen,
attended-
comment on my
Councilman,
comments,
you're out of
Council
order.
President.
You're out of order, Councilman
But you
Fosman.
let her do
You're
it.
not recognized.
Councilman Momolo has the floor.
Can
You're
I-
not
can I-
recognized,
No.
Councilman.
Councilman Momolo has the
Wow,
floor.
you let Joanne Bergen
Thank
do it
you,
last
Council
meeting,
President.
Council President. Is that a new rule now? Is that
Councilman,
a new rule?
Councilman,
Only she can
please.
do it?
That's right.
Oh,
Councilman,
right.
you're not
oh, so
recognized.
only Joanne can question
No.
the council?
I decide who gets the floor. Councilman Momolo has
Well,
the
I'd
floor.
like to have the
You're
floor
not
after you're
recognized.
done.
The answer is no. Councilman Momolo has the floor.
Thank you, Council President.
not sharing.
I
We
did
just
too
do
attend
whatever.
the lifeguard training on the 29th. They do a great job there. Donovan Brown trains the lifeguards well. And every day they do training. They have trainings every day. I hope everybody comes out to the 15th for Summerfest. Not sure if it's going to happen or not. Hopefully the weather will hold out. We've been called liberal Democrats for, way far left here, but Councilman Fosman put out a letter stating that January 1st he felt that he was out of the party. But Councilman likes a lot of tweets. And on April 30th, a tweet from Governor Murphy calling for a $15 minimum wage, he liked that. May 21st, a tweet from Bernie Sanders announcing he was running for Senate, he liked that. A tweet from Cory Booker congratulating Stacey Abrams on winning the Democratic Party of Georgia governor, he liked that. This is just a few. A tweet of Governor Murphy for the LGBTQ pride, he liked that. A tweet from the Red Bank Dems to Governor Murphy celebrating LGBTQ pride, he liked that
Oh,
too.
so you can
A
po- you
tweet
can
from
politically
Governor
do
Murphy
this. Okay.
about signing gun legislation,
I'll be
he
next
liked
meeting.
that too.
I'll bring up
Liking
articles.
tweets is a show of support. So if this was well after you said you left the radical Democratic Party, or your days were numbered, but it doesn't seem that way. So your words mean nothing, because you've proven to be someone who is willing to say anything to get elected.
This has nothing to do with the town.
Speaking.
It has nothing to do with the town.
I'm speaking my
It's his
comments.
council
This is my
comments.
comments. And just like I said, you're someone who is willing to say anything to get reelected. Thank you.
And some people have jobs here, like Heather, right,
Council
Heather?
Vice President
Thank you.
Craig.
And your husband, he works for the state now. So we talk about jobs. This one
Okay.
talks about jobs. She worked for Meals on Wheels. She got a job, political job, and so did her husband.
It's a nonprofit.
There you go.
Whose husband?
Yours. He works for the state.
He does not. He's unemployed, and he's been unemployed since November.
He gets his
It was
checks from the
online.
state,
Councilman,
apparently.
you're
Online.
confused. You're confused. Very
I don't
confused.
live my life online, Councilman Fosman. My husband's been unemployed since November. I'm the sole paycheck in the house.
Very
Do you
nice.
think that makes me happy to put that out in the
I'll
public?
bring it out.
Thank you.
Council Vice President Craig.
Be careful what comes out of the closet.
Okay.
You're the one in Key West.
Okay, so I'm gonna, let's change gears here for just a moment. I'm going to cover a few things. I had our public librarian email me, as she always does every couple of weeks, to ask that I please announce some fun events that are happening right here at the Brick Branch of our public library. So the first one I'd like to talk about is the Poets Corner. It's taking place on Thursday, August 15th from 2:30 to 3:30. This is a new group that meets every third Thursday of each month at 2:30. They're going to focus on creative poetry projects, explore new ways to write a poem, and have fun. You don't have to have any writing experience. You don't have to be a great poet, and all adults are welcome. So I hope that some adults out there who are budding poets would like to check that out. There's also one called Tech Buddies class. It's Monday, August 19th. Do you need help using your cell phone, your tablet, the internet? You can schedule a one-on-one 30-minute tutorial with a teen volunteer using the device of your choice. And we know teens know how to use all these devices, so that's probably your best bet for learning how to use all these different things. And it takes place on Mondays, 10:30 a.m., 11 a.m., and 11:30 a.m. Mr. Scott the Music Man will be at the library on August 21st from 6 to 7 p.m. Everyone loves Mr. Scott, apparently. Enjoy an energetic and interactive musical concert experience for children and their families. Please register each child individually online if you plan on attending. And also, very helpful, and this is just coincidental, and I apologize that it's on here, but I think it's important to note that there's databases for job seekers at 2:30 p.m. Thursday, August 29th. You can learn how to use the library's databases to help for your job search. Now, on a totally different subject, I know the mayor touched on this. We had Kids Night Out last Tuesday. The weather was perfect this year. It was phenomenal. Not only did we get to celebrate all the graduates who participated in the police camp program, but we also had a helicopter land, which was pretty darn exciting. And if you've ever been in the gust of wind of a helicopter landing, it was pretty cool. All the kids thought it was really awesome. And then after the helicopter landed, everybody had a chance to go and check it out. You could sit in it and, see what it really looks like inside in the cockpit. And I wanted to also point out for that evening that the DPW held their second annual Touch a Truck event, which was a huge success. I spent a lot of time over there watching the kids run up, the little kids who really love the trucks. They would come around the corner from the parking lot, and as soon as they saw the trucks, they would dart over, and they had the opportunity to climb into all the trucks. The giant recycling truck that we had there, I don't remember who was running it, but all the kids got to blow the horn, so as you're in the event throughout the night, you heard that big air horn blowing every couple of minutes, because all the kids wanted to pull the air horn. And the DPW guys and the Parks guys that helped out with that, because the Parks Department brought some of their trucks as well, included Anthony Venturino, Jim Brennan, Glenn Sabluski, CJ Phoebus, Tyler Decker, Ian Campbell, Kevin DePola, Jonathan Stamberger, and of course Rob Burns, who is the director of the Parks Department and Ken Mathis, who helped bring all the vehicles there. I appreciate all of their help with that. And what was really, really cool was as I stood there and watched these big guys, all of our DPW guys, I don't know if there's any small DPW guys, but all these guys that were there were like big and muscly and everything, and they were so great with the kids. They were like lifting up the little guys and putting them in the seat and, you know, cheering them on to blow the horn and touch all the instruments and, you know, pretend they were steering, and the kids genuinely loved it. So I can't thank those guys enough for taking time out of their day to show up and really get to know and talk with our residents and be with the children and have them really appreciate that. So thank you to all of those gentlemen, and have a good evening.
Thank you. When the mayor was announcing events going on in Brick Township this week, he did not mention Sunday, which I guess is, depending on how you look at it, it's either the end of the week or the beginning of next week. But our interfaith community in Brick is having a show called Solidarity of Faiths. It's participating are Temple Beth Shalom, Brick Presbyterian, Congregation B'nai Israel, First Baptist Church of Laurelton, Living Faith Bible Church, Orthodox Christian Church of the Annunciation, St. Dominic's Roman Catholic Church, St. Paul's United Methodist, St. Raphael's Episcopal, St. Thomas Lutheran Church, Temple Beth Or, and Visitation Roman Catholic Church. It's an interfaith comedy show. Will be held at Temple Beth Or on Sunday, August 18th at 4 o'clock. Tickets are $20 in advance and $25 at the door. I understand the mayor's going to be attending. I bought my tickets a few days ago, and there were still plenty available. And if you could use a good laugh, and I think we probably all could right now, I'd encourage anyone who's available on the 20th to attend. I also wanted to mention that I received a letter about an event that was held at Brick Beach 3. It was run by the Best Day Foundation, and they provide opportunities for youth that have intellectual or physical disabilities to actually learn to surf and participate in ocean activities. It's been brought to my attention that we are one of the Brick Beaches are one of the few beaches left that are still hosting this event. And the mayor received a letter. I was actually forwarded a copy of it from the chapter, the New Jersey chapter co-chairperson. Dear Honorable Mayor Ducey, everyone at the Best Day Foundation would like to extend their heartfelt thank you to the Township of Brick, the Council and the Recreation Department, and the Brick Beach 3 lifeguards for your kindness, support, and generosity during our annual event at Brick Beach 3 this past Saturday, July 27th, and Sunday, July 28th. The event enriched the lives of 90 children and young adults with special needs and helped them to build confidence and self-esteem through beach activities, bodyboarding, and surfing. These adventure activities stretch their limits, expand their true potential, reinforce achievement, and connect them with diverse populations within their community. Thank you to Dan Santinello and Joanne Bergen for supporting our organization and arranging for the Best Day Foundation to continue to come to Brick Beach 3 for the past 10 years. We appreciate your kind-heartedness and willingness to waive the participants' beach badge fees. We're grateful to Donovan Brown, F.J. Lucetti, Rob Brown, and all the Brick Beach 3 lifeguards for keeping our participants, their families, and all the volunteers safe and protected from harm during our event. We appreciate your assisting us with the beach logistics and cleanup, and thank you for coming in early and selling parking passes and beach badges to our volunteers and families who arrived before 9 a.m. We would be remiss if we did not mention the wonderful volunteers who helped us create this amazing weekend. Many of our volunteers are local to Bricktown families who come every year and give it their all so our participants can enjoy their special day at the beach. Thank you again for bringing smiles, joy, and laughter to another 90 children with special needs as well as their families. We look forward to working with you and sharing another 10 years together. Warm regards, Jennifer Steffner. I spoke with Dan Santinello. Overall, this event brought about 250 people to our beaches over those 2 days. The family members and of the children, volunteers, everyone paid. We did waive the fees for the children that, the special needs children to be able to participate. But it was a wonderful day, and I really want to commend our Brick Beach 3 lifeguards for stepping up and doing this every year, and again, continuing to be the only, one of the only beaches in our area that continues to do this for these children. That's all I have this evening. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, August 20th here, 27th here in this room at 7 PM. Motion to adjourn? All in favor?